insufficiencies. If something is not enough in your life, if you have something, if you have 100,000 naira, and what you want to spend money on is more than 100,000 naira, your bills are so many. Don't speak wrongly about your 100,000 naira. What do? Lift up your eyes to heaven. This is 100. Thank you, Lord. And then when you look at 100,000 naira again, speak well of it. I even have a lot of money. How much do I have? 100,000 naira. Your friends will tell you, hey, no, 100,000 naira. They don't know what you're going through. They don't know where you are coming from. Before you went to pray, that 100,000 naira was an ordinary 100,000 naira. When you came back from prayer, it was a blessed 100,000 naira. Hello. It is the same naira notes in your hand, but something has added itself to it that you did not know. Did you hear what I'm sharing with you? It is the same 500,000 naira. It is the same 1,000 naira denomination looking like notes. But because what you did was that you first lifted your eyes to God. That money is still 100,000 naira or 500,000 naira. But something has added itself to it. Are you listening to me? And you suddenly discover you can do with that money often, frequently, more than what people that have more than you are doing with it. Have you met people that are not earning more than you but are living better than you? Let me give you another picture of lifting up your eyes to heaven. Do you know that the most difficult time, there are two most difficult times to tithe? What are the two most difficult times? Anybody? When the money is not enough. Is that true? If you want to, what can you want to buy? Give me an example. Somebody give me an example of what you want to buy. But Sam, what would you like to buy? But Sam wants to buy a laptop. But Sam wants to buy a laptop. What's your budget? He says his budget is 120. He says his budget is 120. It's not palm top, it's a laptop he wants to buy. So, but his budget is 120. Now, Pastor Sam, if you suddenly got an alert of 120,000 naira now, is that not a difficult time to tithe? It is. Is it not a difficult time to tithe? It is. In fact, if you get an alert of, if the laptop is 120,000 naira, and you get an alert of 100k, it's even more difficult now to tithe. It's even worse now. It's hard. It's hard. Because in your mind, the money is not enough. And you are now, that's why you tell Holy Ghost, let's be careful now. We'll tithe next month. What is happening is this. You will gather that money and you may not, two things will happen. That money, it will be in your account. You are hoping that it will complete. You will notice that before the middle of the month, you have spent half. What is there is that you have the money in your account, but there's no blessing attached to it. What the blessing does for your prosperity is that it preserves it. And in preserving it, what God's blessing does for your resources is that it keeps it away from unnecessary expenditure. Listen to me. When your money is not blessed, you will spend it anyhow. Should I give you examples? You just have the... Who knows what I'm talking about? When your money is not blessed, you just spend... After I don't spend... Nothing prevents you from sleeping correctly. Like money you don't know how you spent. You are on the bed and like this. Abi. And then you pick your phone and open your alert. And your app is showing you what you spend money on. And then you look at the things, then you are not looking for the receipt of your POS transactions when you were paying at the restaurant. 5K, okay. The problem is that the money is not blessed. You did not lift it up to God. Are you listening to what I'm sharing with you? And because you did not lift it, you have not allowed a transition or an exchange to happen in which God's blessing is released. What that blessing does is that nothing is missing, nothing is stolen, nothing is broken. That's what it means for the blessing of the Lord maketh rich and addeth no sorrow. It added no sorrow because it prevented sorrow from coming. Listen to me. When you know that you want to give to God, and then you are going to use the remaining, I don't understand why people argue about tithes, because there's nothing to argue about it. Somebody say, I'm poor because of tithe. I say, something's wrong with you. How can 10% that you gave to God be the reason why you are poor when 90% remained with you? You were already poor before. No, you cannot be rich. If 10% is what made you poor, you can't be rich. Because if 90% you cannot account for anything, it's not that 10% that you struggle to give. When you were bringing your frowning, we bring the sacrifice or pray into the house. And then you said that is exactly what you gave. And that's what made you poor. No. Listen to me. And I must teach you this rule. Is that there is a way in which the blessings of God get released. What that blessing does, it prevents you from expenditures that are unnecessary. Okay. How did we get here? How did we get here? He blessed the food. Because of bless the food, though. You see the things that food causes in the Bible, all through history, food causes problems. Blessed it. He blessed the food. Listen to me. You must not just have the food. You must have blessing on the food. You must not just have resources. You must have blessing on the resources. Do you know how many times, how frequently we pray for our partners in church? They say, Lord, bless them, bless them. All of them. Don't just have the food. Have blessing on the food. Listen, the blessing prevents decay. It does what? It prevents what? It prevents decay of resources. Resources decay when God's blessings are not on them. Ask yourself, do you have blessings? I'm not saying it's your name blessing. I said, do you have blessings? Do you have blessings? It is not the question of whether you have resources. Do you have blessings on your resources? Listen to me. When your resources are blessed, there's a way you behave towards sickness. Do you know that? You start to say, I cannot spend this money on any sickness. God knows I cannot. God says it's true, even me too, I know. Praise God. See, when malaria does, my body says, no, there's no money for anything malaria drug here. Find your way and leave. Because the blessing has shown me that we cannot have blessing and sickness dwelling together. They will contend for the same resources. The blessing wants to have dominion over your resources, and the sicknesses too want to have dominion over your resources. I would rather give way to the blessing than to the sickness. But you see, after it is blessed, what do you think Jesus did next? He did what? He broke the loaves. Understand this rule. After lifting it to God, receiving a blessing on it, he did what? The book of Proverbs says that there is he that gathereth and yet tendeth to what? Poverty. There is he that scattereth and yet enters into increase. There is a rule in that subject. Is that certain things require being broken for them to multiply. Certain things require what? Let me tell you the process of the breaking. Do you want to know what breaking means? Should I tell you what breaking is? I'll tell you. Breaking means, number one, it means simplifying your life. It means what? It means what? Simplifying your life. Number one, breaking means what? There are few wisdoms that are as great as simplifying your life. Do you know what simplifying your life means? Should I give an example of simplifying your life? That you don't put upon yourself unnecessary expectations. Simplify your life is not buying things you cannot sustain. Simplify your life. It's reducing the amount of people you want to impress. You know there is basic that comes from impressing people. How can I? Now, there is a difference between being unserious and allowing impressing people to destroy your life. I saw one of my friends recently, my wife can testify, and I saw his phone. I said, based on how much you are earning, it's not as though you see, there's a difference between a phone is working, is useful, nothing's wrong with it, and the phone is battered, shattered, mattered, and that's the kind of, the back case from the lower part is gone. The camera, of course, is not working correctly. The front face. I said, Oga. I said, Oga, if they ask you, bring out a phone now in the business meeting, is this what you bring out? He said, yes. I said, hey. I said, don't do that, oh. Your boss will think you are a stingy man. And they will say, this guy, if he's like this, he will steal our money. Some of you don't realize that you don't do that in a corporate organization. They will think you are a thief. I'm not joking. They will say, oh, Lenny Boboy, So I said, oh, Baba, you know what you will do? Even if you don't want to change, he said, no, I'm saving for something. I said, okay, I understand what you are saving for. I said, at minimum, you know what you will do? Go and buy a small phone, 7K. And put your noisy line, the one that people call the most, inside that small phone. Now, when it rings, or small vibration, they'll think, oh, he has a big phone, but this is the small phone is keeping. I said, go and do that one instead. So you cover your shame until everything is fine. Say, buy that small phone. Nobody abuses when you bring out a small phone, right? Nobody will abuse you. Nobody. In their mind, they will assume for you that you have a big phone you are keeping and that you don't want people to steal it. Let their imagination kill them. But you be normal. You have reduced the pressure in your life. You are simplifying your life. It is wisdom to simplify your life. I remember one young lady in my campus town that day. She bought one big iPhone. Hey! The lady is now slim like Phenomy. And our campus town is not safe. Our school did not have fence. No offense. They just put walls. There's nothing like, it's not fence. There's a main gate that has walls around it. But you can walk through the bush and enter school regular. And the number of people that use the bush are more than people that use the main gate. So throughout my time in school, I can probably say that I did not use main gate 20 times. Because it is easier to enter the school from the, if we want to tell people it's not main gate they pass, it's bush. So this lady, you are now staying in one area that is not safe. She said, anytime she's walking on the road, she's just afraid that anybody can just pause and say, come here. He said, why then do you kill yourself? Sell that phone and buy the one that you can walk on the road normally. If her phone rings on the road, she cannot pick it. When the phone rings, is it not a phone that is ringing? She can't do anything with it. She can't do anything. Why? Simple reason. She brings it out. What if the person asking you, is that not a phone ringing? Is the person out to simplify. Listen to me. This year, one of the greatest wisdoms you need to learn is the wisdom of simplifying your life. Ask yourselves. You want to buy a new shoe, but that one that you want to buy, where you are going to be wearing the shoe to, does it deserve the shoe you want to buy for it? Think about this question. Does it make sense to you? That place you are going, does it deserve the shoe you want to buy? Do you know that there are shoes of mine that I cannot wear to certain, I cannot wear them, I wear them once a week or once in 3 weeks. Why? Well, the place I go regularly does not deserve carrying that shoe there. So why don't I use, if that shoe is 40,000 naira, why don't I go to a shoemaker and get 4 of 30,000 naira that have durability and they are okay? There were shoes I wore that nobody knew how much I wore them. So how much is this shoe? It's like 50,000. You don't know anything. I paid the man 8K to sew it for me and give it to me. And I wore them. Simplify your life as well. It's to take what God has given you, all right, and simplify it. Listen to me. Some things were not designed to multiply until the person holding it has the wisdom to multiply it. Listen to me, and I'm going to say that again a way you need to understand. Some things were not designed to multiply until you have the wisdom for breaking them. Listen to me. If you are leading people, you must know how to break them to multiply. Do you know that? You must be, even when Jesus wanted to feed them, do you know what Jesus did? Jesus said, allow them to sit down in hundreds and 50s. Why? It makes multiplication easier when you have counted them correctly and put them in different groupings. Does this make sense to you? Jesus gave that law because the blessing and the multiplication cannot meet a people in the way they are gathered. They must be broken into groupings. And when Jesus was sending out the disciples, you would have thought he would send the crowd. He sent them in twos. He would have had to sit down, isn't it? And break them. You and you, go. You and you, go. That is the multiplication principle for increase. You must know how to break what you have. The question you ask is this: what do you have that you need to reduce its quantity in order to be able to dispense it better? If I want to plant corn, I will not take the whole what's that project? What's that thing? I will not take the whole cob, isn't it, with the seeds on the body and put it in the ground. Would I do that? What would be the result if I did that? What do you think, Brother would be the result if I did that? Everything will just come out together, and the likelihood of them wasting is increased. They will all waste. So what do you do instead? You will remove them. They should not be together if they are going to multiply. Does this make sense to you? So you take the corn. And I grew up in a house where we're many. We're like 7, all right, plus father and mother. And we want to eat beans and corn. We are the one that participates in the corn peeling business. And my mom is old school. She doesn't like using knife to peel the corn. What does that mean? So we'll be there 2 hours. Because the corn that we feed 7 people that eat the way we eat, it's not 2 corn, 3 corn, 4 corn. So she will use her hand to break the corn into smaller pieces for us. 2. And then I will sit down, my brother will sit down, and the other brother will sit down. All right? And they will share the corn among us. And we'll be using hand. And if you're unfortunate and you pick the corn that is soft, you know what I'm talking about? Who knows what I'm talking about? That soft corn, that when you press it, what is all this? That was the kind of corn sometimes you come into contact with. But if you want it to multiply, no matter how messy the process is, you must know how to reduce the size into dispensable quantities. If we put a whole cob of corn inside beans, how will you eat it? Because some things don't make sense until you know how to break them in their quantity. Hello? Are you learning wisdom? How can you, what you have like this, how can you break it down? Can I tell you one wisdom that David did? When David came back from Ziklag, do you know what he did? Who remembers? David was asked to go and fight the children of Israel. David had bad plans, so you know. Bad plans. It was the other Philistine kings who were smart that said, don't let this guy follow us. Me, I said, who tell you guys to tell this? If you allow all of us go first. David had bad plans. David was not loyal to them all through his stay with them, even though they were commending him for his loyalty. While they were doing their own, he was killing their people in private. And then he will make sure nobody else is alive to come and report that it was David that killed us. Smart guy. It means even though he was in enemy territory, his loyalty was where it was supposed to be. How many of you will enter into a strange land and your loyalty remains in the correct place? David said, I may be in Philistia because Israel has chased me away. But my persecution in Israel will not last forever. My loyalty must remain. He didn't say, no, I'm in Philistia, I will kill them now. Many of you are saying, when I have money, I will kill them now. When I have money, I will show them shege. Let your loyalty remain in the correct place. And then when they said, let's go and fight, the king said, don't fight with us, go back home. And then on their way back home, they suddenly discovered that the city of Ziklag had been harassed and they had captured their wives and children and everybody. The people that David was leading, what did they want to do? They wanted to stone him. They forgot how many battles he has led them through. We will stone you. Shebi you that took us to one fight war. We could have stayed that we will stone you. Then David inquired before the Lord. And you need to listen to the elements of his inquiry. What are the elements of his inquiry? What does it mean to inquire before the Lord? It's to go before God and ask, what should I do? And David asked Jesus. Well, he asked the Lord. And he said, what? Shall I pursue? He said, pursue. He said, because my question is not broad enough to include all the things that I ought to know. Because you can pursue and they beat you. You can pursue and they beat you. So the guy paused by and said, okay, sir, I should pursue. Okay. Will I overtake? He said, overtake. And then he said, I can overtake. And they still beat me. So he said, okay. When I overtake, will I recover all? You will recover all. Okay, let us go now. Many of you stopped your praying that shall I pursue. They have been beating you since yesterday. Since 2010, you have been struggling with that matter. Because the only thing you know how to do is pursue. You have not asked whether, Lord, does pursuing mean I will overtake? And does overtaking mean I will recover all? So I will know before I leave the house. Because if you keep pursuing what God did not ordain for you to overtake, the people you are trying to pursue, you will not meet up with them, you will not overtake them, you will not recover anything. They will even collect from you again. Because to him who has, if to him does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. When you look for fights that you will not win, won't they collect from you again? And then he went. The Bible says, do you know that what David did? After David had finished gaining victory, on their way back, David separated some spoil and said, this is David's spoil. The Bible now says, out of that spoil, David broke it into compartments and sent it to his friends throughout all Israel. He's a smart man. A man that knows how to minimize the weight of spoil into smaller compartments and send them ahead of him. Did you know that was the same thing that Jacob did when he was going to meet Esau? Forget about all those jamberu. Esau would have beaten the guy. If I was the one, I will beat the guy. You collect my blessing. Collect blessing, collect birthright. Run away. You will not come back home again. That fight, we'll finish it. And Jacob knew that he did not deserve to be forgiven. No. When you are guilty, you know. All that wisdom that Jacob was deploying because he knew he was guilty. But what did Jacob do? Who remembers what he did? He separated all the animals, isn't it? And separated them in droves. He said, when you go, when they meet you and they ask you, where are you coming from? It is the from your servant Jacob. Your servant Jacob. He has become servant now. That is Bobo too. He was not anybody's servant. From your servant Jacob. And it is for my Lord Esau. Say, okay. And then when the second person comes to tell them that what? From your servant. Then when they are finished separating his property, he now carried his wives and children and did what? And broke them into a compartment. He put this one and children in the front, this one and children in the front. Then it remained only him. There is wisdom in knowing how to reduce the size of what you have into dispensable elements. This thing, is it too big to multiply? If yes, what is the wisdom for breaking it down into smaller compartments? This dream that I am chasing, is it too big to achieve? If I manage to break it down, will I achieve it better by meeting up with each one step by step till I get to the last one? Does it make sense to you? Am I afraid to take a lift? Okay, can I break this journey down into staircases? Does this make sense to you? First time I entered the lift was in Citadel Global Community Church, Pastor Tunde Bakare's church. That's how village I was. And when I entered it, I don't know if it was going up or going down. Was it going up? I don't know. Because when I was in the lift, my sense of orientation was changed. I felt like I was going down, but I think I may have been going up. But because I don't know how it worked. And it felt like as the thing was moving, my stomach was... I don't know how to describe it. You people think I'm a village man, Abi? My stomach was like, it was coming down. I was like, hey. So, I'm just grateful to God that the height was not so much. Because if we are going to a very tall building, I'm not sure I will continue that journey. I will probably just rest my hand on the wall and they will think I'm just relaxing. Say, lie, I'm getting firmness. So that I will not fall. And when the door finally opened, you can't imagine the joy that filled my soul. When we were leaving the church, I did not carry lift too. How do I break down this journey into achievable steps? What do? Take the staircase. The staircase may be longer, but we get the same results. Are you listening to what I'm saying to you guys? Jesus broke the loaves. It is when they were broken that he could keep on giving. Hello. It is when they were broken that he could keep on giving. The mystery of multiplying anything. The mystery of multiplying what God has put upon you. The mystery of multiplying the effectiveness of your destiny. The mystery of multiplying prophetic giftings. The mystery of multiplying kingdom things is what? Is learning how to break them. Can you break this matter? Sometimes, listen to me. Sometimes the secret of increase is not in adding, it's in breaking. Sometimes you want to grow a congregation and then God tells you, go and plant another branch first. You'll be like, Lord, what do you mean by that instruction? We're trying to grow something. You say, go and plant another one that we have to labor to grow. It's because sometimes the secret is in a breaking. Does this make sense to you? Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Do you understand what I'm saying to you? You must learn how to see listen to me. If you have 1 million in your hand, have you noticed that if you think of the money in 1 million, you will not spend it well? Who knows what I'm talking about? If I give you 1,000 naira notes, 50, and I give it to you like this now, you will spend it anyhow. You know why? Everywhere you go, suya. That's why many people don't like to withdraw money in 1,000. They prefer 200, 500. Because it's easy to control your spending when it is broken down. That 1,000 naira. Some people, how many of you, especially during when the currency was scarce, if you have 1,000 naira new notes, how do you used to keep it? Do I need this pure water now? I don't think I'm as thirsty as I feel like. I'm not that thirsty. Let me hold the 1,000 naira. Guy, do you have 20 naira there? Buy me water, beg. Because you know that once you break that 1,000 naira. So we keep managing 1,000 naira like this. Manage it. If you think of it in its wholeness, you will not have too much control. If you have 1 million, your brain is thinking 1 million. But you notice you will do better when you can break it into percentages. I will use 30% for this, 20% for this, 50% for this, 10% for God. If you receive your salary today and you think of your salary in the thousands of naira, you will not spend it well. Sit down. 20% save. Abi? 25% transportation. Another 20% invest. The remaining upkeep. Percentages. What you have done is that you have taken something that looks bogus and you have broken it into smaller particles so you can administer it correctly. Does it make sense to you? Listen to me. So you see, Moses was a very great man of God, wasn't he? And he was leading a great people. And the Bible says that one day his father-in-law came to visit him. What's his father-in-law's name? Jethro. His father-in-law Jethro came to visit him. And the next day in the morning, Moses got up. And all the children of Israel came to meet him. And they stayed with him morning till night, bringing their different problems. The father-in-law said, you will kill yourself. He said, you will win yourself and these people. He said, so you know what you will do? Appoint captains of 10, 20, 50, hundreds. Only let them bring the most difficult cases to you. That's how Moses survived. That's how Moses multiplied, by learning the principle of breaking his abilities into smaller particles, or breaking his responsibilities into smaller achievable particles. Oh, one day, not long after, Moses got frustrated. He said, Lord, these people are complaining. Why have you given only me to bear them? I'm tired. Kill me if you want to kill me. God said, don't worry. What was God's response to Moses' problem? Who remembers it? God said, I will gather 70 people before me. I will now take of the spirit that is upon you and put it on them. God says, I will take what the Holy Ghost is doing in your life. I will take it and break it and share it among 70 guys. Then you will have peace. Suddenly the burden will not be as great as it was before. Because what has happened is that by the administration of the Spirit, what God is doing in your life has been taken and broken and then shared. Oh, even Jesus' body was broken to be shared. Yes or no? He said, take. This is my body. Because as his body is like that, symbolized by the bread, there is no way the 12 disciples around the table could have eaten of that bread in its wholeness. So what did he do? He broke it. Did you know how Gideon won his battle? Do you want me to tell you? Gideon was going to go and fight against thousands of people with only 100 soldiers. No, how many? 300. So what did Gideon do? Who remembers? He split them into groups of 100.